Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. is officially in a recession. I've been predicting this since September of 2021. You can go to the stock market crash playlist. You could see all the segments where I talk about the impending stock market crash, financial catastrophe, and recession. I started putting the word recession in the title of the videos the beginning of 2022, but I knew that we were heading towards an economic downturn. And I wrote about this in the Federalist in October of 2021. I started the stock market crash channel and have a segment on that, on the 2 consecutive quarters, today it's official, of negative GDP, the recession that we're in. I'll have a segment on the stock market crash channel immediately after this one. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to just read you a number of articles, and I want to explain how we got here. It's 100% the fault of the current president, mashed potato brains, that we have in the Oval Office. Okay, you can't say that it's anyone else's fault. You can't say it's these things are global phenomenons when Western countries throughout the world tanked their economies in unison 2 years ago, then flooded their economies with central bank with trillions from central banks, and then proposed and tried to enact, and in many cases did, anti-fossil fuel policies. So own it. If you want to protect the environment or you want to save the planet from climate change, then own it. Say, yeah, you know what? Having record highs in terms of oil and gas, coal, other commodities, food prices, that's just what we have to do to save the planet. Don't say, oh, we're going to ban leasing on federal lands, get sued by oil and gas associations, and then blame the oil companies after you've tried to do away with them with your policies or make it difficult for them to function. Don't blame them for price gouging after your policies target their industry, and then prior to that, you tanked the U.S. economy, completely obliterated supply and demand projections where they lost tens of billions of dollars because supply plummeted. But hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have a segment on this in a live stream today. It could be earlier than 9 p.m., but be here definitely for the 9 p.m. live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. CNBC, GDP fell by 0.9% in the second quarter. The second straight decline and a strong recession signal. Okay, this is hilarious. CNBC is usually like pretty, middle of the road, so that's a bizarre title. But you have media now that just can't possibly, cannot possibly accept the fact that we are in a recession and it's Biden's fault. So U.S. GDP fell at 0.9% annual rate second quarter. Recession fears loom over economy. What? Wall Street Journal. How are there recession fears looming? We already have, it's official. We're in a recession right now. Okay? So we are in a recession. Of course, the stock market, there's absolutely no logic. You will see it go way below 30,000. So the Dow will go way below 30,000. The NASDAQ will get back to below 11,000, which is where it was, way below 11,000. So all of these, that's a whole other story. That's completely counterintuitive. But hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. And what I've done, ladies and gentlemen, is I've completely altered focus from the Bitcoin crash, which will happen. 10,000 or lower, unfortunately that's going to take place, I turn that channel into the nuclear confrontation channel. So I'll talk about geopolitics on that channel, especially in August. August 1st, I'll be doing 4 segments a day, at least on this channel, 4 segments a day on the stock market crash channel, and 4 segments a day on the nuclear confrontation channel, because what I've been saying pertaining to nuclear confrontation is happening also because of Biden's foreign policy. His foreign policy is absolutely horrendous. I mean, New York had a public service announcement on what to do in case of nuclear Armageddon. They did, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats didn't care about that, but they cared about Trump's tweets or what Trump did 2 years ago, ignoring an entire summer. Yeah, I agree with why people demonstrated that summer, but not the $2 billion plus in property damage, 19 lives lost, and 14,000 arrests, where you had Democratic politicians donating to a bail fund that let out people who were then convicted of the most heinous crimes. But here I just want to read you this. When people say, oh, well, it's not Biden's fault, tax increase would cost 1 million jobs, National Association of Manufacturers. The National Association of Manufacturers was against Build Back Better and Biden's policies. We're not even going to get to what he actually did with oil and gas. Okay, so it's true, I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. And so people on the left, if you have, morally superior liberal Democrats or socialists, they don't realize that whenever they go after the Republican Party for trying to, for not voting on a certain social safety net, they don't realize that almost always or oftentimes their policies cause the poverty that warrants that the safety net. So their whole thing is, we need an eviction moratorium. Well, Democrats ended economic activity along with bureaucrats and experts and media. They said we needed a tank economy. Then they tanked the economy. Then they said, oh, well, we need an eviction moratorium. Well, you wouldn't have had to have an eviction moratorium if you let families and workers work. But you didn't do that, did you? So you tanked and you shut down economic activity. You caused the unemployment, the 22 million people unemployed, that warranted then the stimulus checks. So they're all about stimulus checks. They're all about eviction moratoriums. They're all about social safety net, which is, you need a social safety. Absolutely. I believe that, obviously. But you don't want to cause the poverty to put people in a position where they have to be there. But where they have to, where they need that stimulus or that unemployment check. Okay, you don't want to cause unemployment and then say how wonderful you are because you voted for unemployment money. The point is, the National Association of Manufacturers, the Business Roundtable, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce were all against Build Back Better. And I was saying inflation was only going to skyrocket all throughout 2021. You could look at the playlist, ladies and gentlemen, and you could see at the end of 2021 and all of 2022, I was talking about inflation being a huge issue. Inflation, real wages are down 4.4%. Inflation is up 9.1%. We're in a recession officially. Gas prices and oil prices will go way back up. They're already, WTI and Brent are already either close to $100 per barrel or over $100 per barrel. And we had about 2% inflation when, but close to 3% when Biden took over, 2.5%, something like that. We had 2% inflation with Trump in 2019. We had gas prices at, something like less than $3 when Biden took over. And so we had a V-shaped recovery. GDP was skyrocketing because the economy was opening up, okay? And you didn't have if you come into the Oval Office like the way Biden did, see, Trump wouldn't have had any of these problems because Trump wouldn't have gone after the oil and gas industry. Biden going after the oil and gas industry is a huge reason why inflation is where it is. A big part of inflation is energy. And what Biden did, banning leasing on federal lands, it made it more difficult for them to run their business, which is why they sued the Biden administration. You had oil and gas companies suing the Biden administration. You can look and you can look at any of the description sections of my segments. U.S. oil industry trade groups sue Biden administration over leasing pause. The American petroleum industry and 12 energy trade groups Monday, this is last year, in a lawsuit against the Biden administration over its temporary moratorium on oil and gas leasing sales, saying the pause constitutes an illegal, indefinite suspension of leases. This hurt the industry tremendously, in addition to other executive orders and other things that he did. And within the lawsuits, and if you say, well, that's not true, you don't know. Are you an expert? Remember we heard about are you an expert? Well, then you have no right to talk. Are you an expert in oil and gas? Lefty, wonderful, morally superior socialist or liberal Democrat, are you an expert in oil and gas? If you're not, I guess you can't form a rebuttal now, huh? That's the way things go. We learned that the past couple of years. The experts in the oil and gas industry stated, and through their lawsuits, they literally sued. It wasn't just the oil and gas associations; it was others as well, sued Biden because of his policies that caused gas prices and energy prices to go up. Within the lawsuits, they explain his policies are hurting the industry, and he did that right when he took over to save the planet. Then he flooded the country with strategic petroleum reserves. Okay, then now he's sued by environmental groups. But see, again, why do you think all of media is focused on what happened one day in January? One day, ignoring an entire summer. And again, I agree with why people demonstrated that summer. It's because we are in a terrible, terrible, terrible economic situation, ladies and gentlemen. A terrible economics, and it's only going to get worse. It is only going to get worse. And it's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. And during the live streams, I say, as I beg for super chat, save your money. I'm telling you, as I beg for people to, or tell people, hey, you know what? I have my Patreon. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding. I'm doing this all on my own. Once I get to 200,000 subs, I will, look at potential sponsors for the channel, advertisers. But save your money, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get worse. It is going to get a lot worse. Save your money and make sure, God forbid, you have, if you're in a position where you could be possibly laid off, make sure you have a plan, an alternative plan, or B, or like an alternative plan to where you can perhaps find employment or another job, if God forbid the employer lays you off, because there's going to be layoffs. And we haven't even seen the hedge funds go under or the AIG or Lehman Brothers moment. And we'll see that, unfortunately. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Go to the Stock Market Crash channel right now. I have been saying this since September of 2021. If you go to the description section, you will see. And my focus is on politics, but you can actually compare like what I've been saying since September of 2021 to all the major financial channels, of which I watch as well. You can compare what they've been saying to what I've been saying, and I've been pretty spot on. Not many people, even in the world of finance or stock market or the economy on YouTube, has been talking about the things that I've been talking about. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Be here for the live stream today. I'm not exactly sure when, but I will have a live stream today. And ladies and gentlemen, it is official, and it's directly the fault of Biden's policies. Now, again, we wouldn't have had this under Trump. With Trump, we had record highs in household median income. We had record low in poverty. Poverty has increased under Biden. Household median incomes have decreased. Personal incomes have decreased. Real wages were up under Trump. Real wages are down now. So it's not like rocket science. You can look at the numbers, and we wouldn't have had it. And now the third quarter And this is the real big issue, and I talked about that last night on the stock market, on the live stream. The third quarter is going to be a huge problem. If we have a negative third quarter, we're looking at a very prolonged recession, and it's going to be terrible. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very much. I'll be back in a couple of hours on this channel.